Thinking about the future of the NBA can be a little bit scary because in just a few short years, many of our favorite players will begin to slow down, and their ability to perform at the peak of their powers will be no more. In the year 2025, the likelihood of top players such as LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden, and others still being at the top of the league is unlikely, because right now, they're all already aged 30 or above, so in 5 years, they'll be on their way out. Despite this though, I truly believe the league is in very good hands, and the next generation of elite talent will continue to grow the game and keep things as entertaining as ever, which brings us to the topic of today's video. Today, I'll be predicting who I believe will be the 10 best players in the NBA in the year 2025, along with my reasoning for why. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting at number 10 and working our way up to the number 1 spot on the list is a player that actually isn't even in the league yet and will likely be incredibly controversial, but it's LaMelo Ball. I can already see the wide variety of comments you're about to leave down below, but I genuinely believe in his potential, and in 5 years, he'll begin to hit his prime. LaMelo has been getting prepared for the big stage his entire life, and while the off-the-court distractions and his family in the news all the time constantly resulted in people putting him down, he's consistently overcome it and proven he is legit. His court vision is phenomenal for someone so young. He effortlessly creates plays both for himself and those around him, and he simply has an it factor that you can't teach. He's a 6'8" point guard with a silky smooth handle, craftiness in the paint, terrific touch around the rim, and the ability to confidently pull up from anywhere on the court. Yes, there are legitimate concerns about his defense, and yes, he does need to become more consistent, but he's one of the youngest players in this year's draft, and in 5 years' time, he'll be even more developed both physically and mentally, and the fact that he already understands how to operate an offense at a high level leads me to believe that he'll be putting up huge numbers in the league. Next up, I believe the 9th best player in 2025 will actually be another player not currently in the league, but it's Cade Cunningham. Depending on the ranking you're looking at, Cunningham is either the number 1 or number 2 player in this year's recruiting class, being neck and neck with Jalen Green, and I personally favor Cunningham because when I watch him play, I see a legitimate future star in the making. First of all, he's a point guard that stands at 6'7" with a monstrous 7-foot wingspan, so his size for the position is already exceptional. He's strong, his offensive game is incredibly polished, and he brings a level of versatility that literally exemplifies everything NBA teams want from their guards in the modern NBA. He's able to defend multiple positions, he attacks the basket with force, and he's comfortable scoring from all 3 levels. On top of that, he doesn't just excel with the ball in his hands, and the fact that he has the size of a wing player makes him versatile on the offensive end as well. He's a good slasher and gets himself into opportune scoring opportunities, and the combination of all of this is why I think he's someone to keep an eye on not only this upcoming college basketball season, but for next year's draft where I think he'll be the first player selected. Next up at number 8, I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder is due to explode over the next few years. SGA's progress has flown fairly under the radar compared to some of the other young players that get the attention of the national media on a regular basis, but in just 2 years, he's already become a highly impactful two-way player, and I think his growth is going to continue over the next 5 years. Last season in Oklahoma City, he was given the green light to run the show and freely attack and play make, and as a result, he averaged about 19 points per game while shooting 47% from the field. He's able to play either guard position, having played mostly as a 2-guard this year because of the fact that he's paired with Chris Paul in the backcourt, but when Paul's contract expires in 2 years, SGA will be the one stepping into the primary ball handler role, and that's when I can really see his game taking off to the status of being a big-time star. He's a guard with a very smooth game, and while he doesn't necessarily have top-tier speed, he does have an advanced understanding of the game and knows how to change speeds and get shifty on his way to the cup. Putting him at number 8 might seem bold, but I'm confident with this pick. Next up at number 7 on this list, we have Anthony Davis of the Los Angeles Lakers. Funnily enough, number 7 is right around the range that he currently ranks in the NBA, and while over time players currently above him will be dropping off, I also foresee some younger players overtaking him. Davis is currently 27 years old, which is right in the prime of his powers, so in 5 years, he'll likely begin to decline even if it's ever so slightly. At age 32, he'll still be a very good player that dominates the paint on defense and provides tremendous versatility on offense, but he might not be quite as sharp as he is now. In the end, this ranking comes down to a combination of Davis aging a bit and me being very high on the young and up-and-coming talent. Next up at number 6 on the 2025 ranking, we've got Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi is the reigning Finals MVP, he's been a Defensive Player of the Year twice, he's a 2-time champion, and he's currently very much in the conversation for best player in the NBA. At age 28 now, he'll be 33 in the year 2025, which is when he'll likely begin to decline a bit, but I don't see that decline being that big. He won't be as good as he is now, especially with the fact that his injury history will always be something that follows him, but he also does use rest to his advantage, which already should help him in the long run. He's a very complete two-way player, and overall should remain the case for the next 5 years, especially because he's a little bit younger than the current stars. Up next at number 5, we've got the current rookie sensation that we've only gotten a small taste of, being Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion's been hyped up since his high school days because of the fact that he plays like a man amongst boys and can simply put on a show with his jaw-dropping athleticism and bully ball strength. In 19 games this year, he averaged almost 24 points per game while shooting 59% from the field, showing that the transition to the NBA is not going to be an issue at all for him. The concerns I have about him getting to this point are the same ones that everybody else has, being his injury history and the fact that he is a bit overweight, which could create some issues. But if he keeps that in check and health issues don't hold him back, then the sky is the limit here. He's a freak of nature that has a combination of strength, athleticism, speed, and power that very few others have ever had, and he's going to cause defenses problems for years. Next up at number 4 in the year 2025, we have Jayson Tatum of the Boston Celtics. Tatum flashed superstar potential in the playoffs as a rookie, slightly improved in year 2, and then in year 3 this season, he really started to put everything together. He's averaging a highly efficient 24 points per game this year, his offensive arsenal is as polished as a 10-year veteran's, and most importantly, he's only 22 years old, so in the year 2025, he'll be 27 and in the prime of his career. His fluid handles, calm and confident pull-up jumper, and steadily improving finishing ability around the basket make him one of the toughest covers in the league already, so in this prime, I can see him putting up almost 30 points per game, while remaining efficient. Plus, he's a top-tier perimeter defender, so on both ends, he gets the job done. He'll be the face of the Celtics for a while, so their future is in good hands. Next up at number 3 in 2025, we have Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben, as we all know, faces a lot of slack for not shooting perimeter shots, and even though the rest of his game is already very much elite, everyone recognizes that the jumper is the key to unlocking his true potential. He's already a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and will likely win the award one day. He's one of the best passers the game has, and he can get to the basket with ease because of his combination of elite size and speed. However, if he begins to consistently shoot perimeter jumpers and making them at the very least a decent rate, he could go from the top 20 of the NBA where he's currently at, all the way to the top 3. The promising part is that Simmons is working on his jumper all the time, and the issue isn't that he's completely unable to shoot, it's that he lacks the confidence to use it in games. Every warm-up before games, he's out there practicing his perimeter shooting, and he makes a good amount of them, but the difference between making a 3 in warm-ups and in a game is huge. Yet 5 years is also a lot of time, and 5 years from now I definitely think the confidence he's building in practice will begin to translate to games, and if that happens, then it's going to be a scary sight. Next up at number 2 on this list, we have Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Luka's only in his second season and he's still only 21 years old, and yet the numbers he's putting up while leading a playoff team have only been matched by a small handful of other Hall of Fame players throughout history. His offensive production is quite simply ridiculous, and this is just the beginning. Luka very well might go down as one of the most productive offensive players the game has ever seen, and in 5 years, he's going to be much better. He's a triple-double machine that can fill up the stat sheet in a heartbeat, and at 26, he'll be on track to be historically great. And finally, the number 1 player in the year 2025 will be the guy who's already out here winning MVP awards, Giannis Antetokounmpo. When he wins this year's MVP award, he'll be a 2-time winner by the age of 25, and in 5 years he'll be 30, which is typically still the back end of a player's prime years. Giannis is a damn near 7-footer that moves like a gazelle out on the court, but also possesses the sheer power to dominate the paint. He bulldozes people on the way to the rim with ease, and every year he gets more and more comfortable shooting from the outside, so by age 30, who's to say that his offensive game won't be even more polished than it already is, and he's averaging about 30 points per game currently. His averages of 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists per game this year, while also playing elite defense, make him one of the most impactful players today, and the Bucks being on the top of the Eastern Conference is a direct result of that. No matter what team he's playing for 5 years from now, he'll be a big reason why they win a ton of games, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't have at least one championship to his name by then. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you think will be in the top 10 in the year 2025. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.